He said, this seminar also addresses how to improve empathy and communication skills that may help resolve conflict related to those challenges. Now, so one, we need to look at how we deal with our modern society. One of the things my son said to me a few months ago, he said, Daddy, the son that you raised or had in Totola, I'm not that son anymore. He said, he's not that son anymore. He said, I am grown and I have my own way of thinking about things. What do I say? What do I say? There's not much I can say, right? Because you raise children, you teach them what you think is best. When they become adults, they choose their own path. But we have to also deal with the elements in our society that affects us and that also helps us. Right? I see Brother Mercer smiling. All right? We have to deal with the elements that affect us and the elements that help us. I studied architecture, and when I was studying, the professors talk about modern architecture. Now, 100 years from now, if you go to a same architectural school, they will still talk about modern architecture. So basically, when we talk about modern, we generally refer to the present time that we're living in, the things that happen in the present time that we're living in. Because what is modern today, in the next 20, 50 years, it's not going to be modern anymore. Isn't that so? Right? And so we will let's talk a little about the family and how we address and how we deal with matters within the family. One of the slides says, look around at your family and you will see several of these human variations. Many of these differences, they could be biological, influenced by the environment and life. So we are saying, the author is saying that when you look at families, the families or the people within the family varies. People within the family varies. Let me see who have a few children here. I can see 2 of 3. Okay. 3 of you. Can you please stand? Don't be shy. One is sleeping. Wake her up. Where's mommy? I haven't seen mommy. Okay, I can see daddy. Daddy, stand up and let your 3 children stand up. Sorry that I have to call on you, but that's just for a little demonstration. Now, these are your 3 daughters, isn't that so? And you have a son as well, right? Is he here? Okay. Now, don't surprise them. Are they all different or are they all similar girls? They're different? Okay. Tell me one, don't surprise them, but tell me one thing that is different from Tiana and Tishara. You don't know. Okay, I know which one is Tiana, but I'm not sure which one is Tishara and Zaria. You're which one? Okay. What is different from Tishara? Okay, you all don't know each other. Okay, Tiana, what is different between your youngest sister and your next younger sister? First time you see them? That's why we are here for. We're here to share and to talk, right? Anything different between your 2 sisters? Okay, tell me one thing that is different. Just one. You're not sure? You know what is different between your two sisters? Okay, tell me.
One more dedicated and one more just lay back.
Okay, one is laid back and one is dedicated. Thank you very much. Sit down. Sit down, Daddy. Okay, it took hard work to say one thing, right? Okay, so within the family, these are the things that we have to deal with. One is dedicated and the other one is a little laid back. Now, how do you deal with these two children? How do you deal with these two children? Sister Lennis, how do you deal with these two children? One is dedicated and one is laid back. You meet them where they are. So the one that is laid back, you help the other one to. So why don't you tell the other one that is dedicated to be laid back? Because we consider laid back as not the best position to be in, right? You need to get some upward motion. Okay, so that's why we're saying within the family, there are different challenges. And for our society, well, I only live in our society. For our society, we would say the laid-back child is more problematic or more difficult to deal with or will be left behind and all those kind of things. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But generally, this is not always true. Because children or human beings go through different phases in life. So a child may be laid back between 5 years to 13 years, and from 15 years to 20 years, that child might just so this is to help us understand that if you have 2 or 3 different children, they should all be treated with respect and love and encouragement. Not because one is laid back today that one will continue to be laid back for the rest of his or her life. So they must all be treated with care and love. Right? So we say we have differences in children. So we say within the family there could be variations, and we say many of these differences, they could be biological because of how we are born as human beings, and some are influenced by the environment. Now, how worried are you about your children being influenced by the environment? Sister Corina, you have young children. How worried or how concerned are you? Very concerned. Why are you very concerned? Not all of it is positive. Brother Brandon, oh, you look like you're frightened. How concerned are you about your children, and how concerned are you that the environment can influence your children? You're not concerned? You're not concerned? Okay, so you train them correct, so you're not concerned when they leave the house or when they leave home and go away, they will be, because you train them properly. Yes, Elder Pope. And you like it? It attracted you? Right. Mm-hmm. So you saying that the society also has influence on us, right? You're saying that the society has influence on us. Okay, I do agree. I do agree with you on the idea. Okay. By the way, I want to make a little disclaimer here. When you're making your point, please make it up short, right? Because I know, the more you concise it, the more people we get to participate. So I have a hand at the back, right? A sister at the back. Okay, thank you very much. Yes, my brother.
Yeah, this is a very important. I'm so glad I'm here at this church. So,
Amen.
I'm at East End. So, but one of the things I want to say
We can take over your membership, and that's not a problem.
Well, sometimes I like to visit, so
Okay.
you got to visit. And I love the EC too, so.
Okay.
Anyhow, let me say this, brethren. One thing I love the Adventist church, and I will always be Adventist, is Adventist is one of the few religion or organization that have a structure from cradle up to college. But what's been happening is I see it happen in my children's society, in my children generation. I try to give my children the structure from Adventism right up. And I'm saying, I don't want to go too deep, but I just want to show the structure where we have fallen off as a church. The church have different structure within to help the kids come up from different area. So that child, as it grows, the structure and their pay is supposed to help that, each other. Like when that pay to the other one going wrong, they encourage, because of the structure of the church. But you find the structure, something is breaking down either with the family and the structure of the support is breaking down. I see.
So can we say that it is the influence
from outside?
From outside. Okay.
Yes. So that's where we need to be stronger. And I find that what's happening within the church, we're not supportive with each other within the structure to help the society outside. That people see the division so much among us. It is very sad. Sometimes to me, if you don't have nothing good to say, don't sin, because that's what the enemy wants. That's how them think. That's how them is. So it breaking down the structure of what to come to keep the structure up from the generation down.
Okay.
I mean, I can say more, but I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I need you to be short on your comments because, I just need you to summarize whatever you have to summarize it.
Okay, right? Yes. With the system, the church and the family have to be together. We have to work hand in hand because the brother rightly said that we are breaking down. And the reason for that is, well, what I am seeing, the system, the world system is not run by Christians. They are run by people who are not of God. And that is what they are putting into the society. So it's easy for people who are not Christians to follow their system. And the reason why it's so hard for us as a church is because we are not following their footsteps. So as a family, we need to train our children and give them that structure they need, like the brother said, the foundation, so they could elevate themselves by the work of God and everything to be better in society. Because it's a fight between the church and the outside world. And right now, the outside world have much influence because they are the one who is running the system. So we have to be careful as a church.
Okay. Now, the author here says, our culture often values some of these characteristics over others, right? Because as we said, different children have values and have different personalities and have different lifestyle, right? So here it says our culture often values some of these characteristics, right? The author says in some cultures, certain body types are valued over others, whereas other culture could be the opposite in the type of body that is valued. As a result, some children may look down on others, and other children internalize those lower opinions about themselves. And what you have children with poor or low self-esteem. I know in some cultures, if you're born with a disability, you basically don't go out to society. But in some cultures, if you are born with a disability, there are school education systems where you can get involved in, and there are places that you could work. But in some cultures, those things are not permitted. So it is important for us to note, brothers and sisters, that the characteristics that our children are born with, we need to be careful in how we manage them, because some of them can cause our children to have what? Low self. And when the children have low self-esteem, what do? They go where they find comfort. They go where they find comfort, and sometimes those areas are not good. Sometimes those areas are terrible. So we need to encourage our children, even if they have differences, we need to appreciate them all. Your comment is on the same subject, right? Okay, yes, go ahead.
Okay, I just want to add that, just to tell you a story about this guy, my co-worker, and he have a daughter. As the sister said, some are followers and some are leaders. And he came to me and he said, Miss Glasgow, could you please tell me how to get to the Adventist school? Because my daughter looks like she is a follower. And what she's doing is not right. So he's looking for this school so that he could send his daughter. And right now his daughter is going to the same school. And yes, she was a follower, but in the Adventist school, you know, they do more Bible and stuff like that. And he is so impressed. So we really have to send our children to where they can be uplifted.
Uplifted. Okay, thank you very much. Let's read on this slide. What this slide says, one of the rules, what? Is to what? So that you could lessen that could happen. Right. So we need to do what? We need to talk about the differences within our children, within our church, within our society that could affect us. We need to do what? Talk about them. And as we talk about them, that will help to improve people's or our younger ones' self-esteem. Now there was a discussion within Howard University, and it says Howard University in 2023 has a Making Caring Common project that has shared the following tips to cultivate empathy in children. And one of it says, what is one of it? It says, we must do what? We must empathize with what? Okay, we're not reading together. Hearing some starting, some falling behind. Let's do it together. After 2, 1, 2, we must. Okay, we must empathize with our children. Right? Do I need to explain what that means? Or somebody need to explain, Sister Pope? You want to tell us what it means when we say empathize with our children? Okay. We'll go to the next one. Anybody want to tell us what they understand when we say empathize with our children? Try and understand their feeling. Put yourself in the position, right? And that's a terminology we use a lot. Put yourself in my shoes. Put yourself in my shoes. Try to think about, if it was me, how would I feel? How would I think? Right? So we must empathize with our children. Number 2, we must what? Make what? Right, so we must teach our children at home to care for other people. That is one problem I had when I was growing up with my parents. I thought my parents cared for people too much. My dad would give everybody half of the fish that he catch. He would let them go to his garden and get food. He would bring food from the farm and give it away. I said, well, what's wrong with my father? Why he gives away everything? But now that I am an adult, I realize what my dad was doing, and it is important. And I always say this to my children as well. You must care for other people. And that must be demonstrated in your life. Right? So if you have something at your home, Tony, what do you grow in your yard? You grow cane in your yard. So you need to bring some cane in the churchyard so you could share with the brethren. Huh? Or you need to bring some cane, you need to carry some cane to your workplace so you can share with the... Brother Tony, I know you do that, right? Right? So we need to teach our children how to care for other people. In other words, let your children see that you're involved in sharing, so that they could grow up knowing that I also need to be able to share with other people. We have some real selfish people in our society. Really, really, really selfish people in our society. They only care about themselves and themselves alone. Real selfish people. And I met a lot of people in the BVI that tell me, boy, they're really frustrated because they work for employers and their employer is very selfish. So we need to show our children that we care and we share. We also need to what? Provide what? Opportunities for our children to do what? To practice. We need to give them an opportunity to practice. As we give them the opportunity to practice, they will develop and they will become good citizens. We need to do what? We need to expand our child circle of concern. So when our children have concerns, do we throw it under the rug? Do we throw our children concern under the rug? Sister Latisha is still a child. You'll always be a mother's child. Exactly. Always be a mother's child. Now this is a difficult area to deal with, right? It's a difficult area to deal with. We must expand our children's circle of concern. In other words, when our children have concerns, we must sit down, listen to the concerns, and talk about the concerns and see how best we can facilitate and help our children. Yes, Sister Joseph.
Family night, you get to know.
I have a colleague who, when his child was about 13 or 14 years, he took his child and sent his child away to school. And I said, but why would a parent take his 13 or 14-year-old child and send that child away to a boarding school?
Let them deal with them. They got people that to deal with boarding school.
And I wrestled with it a while because I was saying, I had the opinion that at those early ages, I think children need to be with their family, their brother, their sister, their mother, their father, so that they could develop what? They could develop that bond, that relationship, right? And so they could have that intimate, or sorry, not intimate, but they could have that family relationship, and so that could help the children, right? But as Sister Joseph was saying, sometimes we don't have that with our children, and it's difficult to get involved in that kind of conversation because the conversation is not always there, right? Yes. Which of the popes?
I really want to go back
Okay,
to the second
when you finish,
point.
pass the mic to
But my thing is that with all the busyness of motherhood, mothers now going out to work and doing all these different things. The family should have family night, dedicate a night and a time for family night, where you be able to hear the concern of the children and know that you have to have certain skills. You're able to research and do things that will help the child in the different areas. But I really want to go back to number 2 to see if we can have some example of those high ethical expectation. Make caring for others a priority as set high ethical expectation. Can someone give us an example how we can set high ethical expectation with our children?
Okay, she wants an example. Anybody? Brother John?
Yeah, that I'm making it short too. That is very simple. You expect the child to tell the truth at all costs, even if it means getting a little spanking or taking away privileges. You expect the child to be on time, and you teach them to be on time by you being on time. You expect them to take care and manage their little toys, and I'm talking about 0 to 3, eh? Their toys, their clothes and all that, make up the bed well around 5. 3 might be a little too early. So those are, and then you don't go around bullying people, you don't hit them. Ethical. You teach them that is wrong to do those things.
Thank you very much, Elder John. Elder Pope.
Number 4, Elder. Number 4. Yeah, one of the problems we find there is that parents would probably say to the children, we will deal with that later. See what I'm saying? I'm busy now. The child is saying something, but you're busy now. And you never get back to what the child wants to address. You have to take your child first and foremost, most important.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's important. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for your contribution. Okay. A discussion question. I might call 1 or 2 names. Think back to when you were a teenager. What was the best part about that time in your life? Sister Latisha.
For me, all of my teen life was good. I had a good experience growing up. First of all, I ain't getting no licks because I ain't doing nothing to get no licks. I don't want nobody hitting on me. I love Pathfinders. I love camping. I had my own opinions a lot of days, but my mother used to be like, no, don't say it. Your mouth don't have no cover. So this is why I say what I said, because a lot of parents teach children to have critical thinking. And when the child now comes to the parent with their side of the thinking, oh, you're rude, or you're this, or you're that, check that. Because you're teaching children to be independent. When they bring in independence, that's a whole nother ballgame. Anyway, my teen life, I loved it. I did a lot of things that children should be doing now, like climbing trees and
Okay. Okay. You enjoy your days, right? Okay. Yes, Brother Brandon. Well, I know you used to be a troublesome fella, you know.
And my brother. And one thing they never stopped with, I could have gone anywhere at any time. At young boy 14, I could have gone, anytime, night time, you know what they would do? Leave the door open for us. But it taught me something. It taught me responsibility, and that you must, and anytime you come, when before you did something rich on before you? Anytime something rich on before you, know when you come home, you're in trouble.
So you had to make sure that you did everything right.
Yeah, you had to do everything right. Although we're not that own way, not only we had, but they gave us that opportunity to explore. And one thing, and the second thing, you could bring anybody home of your peer. You could bring anybody home, but because they taught us to care for others. And I would go sometime leave home in morning, come back night time, nothing in that. But before you leave home, make sure you do your work. Because when you come back, you will not get food. So it taught you something that's why I tell my children, you have water in the house, water in the sink, and you don't want to wash the dishes. I have to carry water, sweep it, and all these things, and still go to school for 8 o'clock. So it gave you a sense of responsibility and how to manage time. But it taught me something too. Not because they tell you could come back anytime, that you just do what you want and come back anytime. Sometimes we were brave, smart enough, you know what, they tell you come back at 10, but you come back at 8 o'clock.
Because you want another chance.
Because you want the next chance, and they will allow us to do things. That's why sometimes people say, but why are you allowing the children to? I just let them go on, because I want you to learn something. And I learned that with my father too. You start to do your work early. So sometimes because 12, 14, he's young still, that's never part of my father. As long as holiday starts, just know after the first week, because you have come from exam and everything, the next week, you have to take your hammer and your cold chisel and go and do hard work. And he taught me a lesson that you must know what you want in life, what you want to do, and that it's not because somebody gives you space that you can use that space to do anything.
Right. So it all boils down to you being able to manage the freedom that is given to you. And it doesn't, it sometimes it works well. I had a friend, I was a young lady, I was my good friend. And she said to me that no, when we were teenagers, our parent, I think it was 3 sisters, our parent used to allow us to go to the disco. You know, they don't already have disco as such now, but in those days you had disco where you go in the night and you dance, and right, the dance hall. What you call it now, dance hall? Well, not, I mean, there are some differences. There's some differences. And she said to me that her parent used to let, their parent used to let them go as girls. There were 3 sisters. And I said, your parents just let her go? She said, yes. She said, look here, taught us to be responsible. And because our parents taught us to be responsible, our parents trust us and they allow us some flexibility. Because they're almost guaranteed, because they trained us well, they're almost guaranteed that we will be okay. And they all turn out to be very good young ladies. They're successful. And so sometimes it works, but sometimes it does not always work. Right? But we still need to trust our children. We still need to trust our children. So hand at the back.
My mother used to say, even if she had a fight or a quarrel with a neighbor, you are expected to always greet them. And you know, the community I was raised, you wouldn't dare pass an elderly person on the street and not greet them. And on top of that, they would, by the time you get home, you could get scolded. And sometimes these things, we learn from them, and I always made it my duty to which part or where in society or what level of society somebody is at, you show respect. And I mean, to a day like today, I still remember this experience. And I always make it my duty to reach out to somebody else, because you never know where they're at that point in time, and just greeting them could go a long way.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we need to move a little faster. We will not get to all the slides, but you know, we will do our best.
Okay,
Before you go on, or you want ready to go home? Okay, we'll wrap up soon.
Okay, growing up as a teenager, my best times used to be almost every time. Because my parents was very strict, but even if they were strict, they never used to send us anywhere still. No matter sometimes who you're going with, they will still tell you you're not going. Right? But my best time is when I used to be out all night every weekend, so to speak. And that's because I used to be a fisherman, a fisher teen growing up. I used to go with some elders from the church. So they know who we going with. So they always used to love me. But the thing is, I have learned so much from those 2, 3 elders that I used to be with. And I'm telling you, maybe that's why I am this way today. Because we used to sit in, and they used to tell me about their days coming up, and you know what I mean? And to me, they really set that foundation for me to become a parent today.
Okay.
And I'm still trying to instill certain values in my family, right? From the old training. Because this new modern way of training is, I don't know how to say it this day, but the old school foundation, but at the same time, you have to go with what is happening. So you have to mix it. But those were my nice time there.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's look at on the subject. Yes. Let's look about difficult issues within the family, right? We often think we have to choose a side that in reality both sides may and we realize generally all safety and freedom, right? So we may have the same objective, but just that we trying to get there in a different way, right? Resolving differences without hurting the other person's feeling can be challenging, thus damaging the relationship. As a result, we often avoid talking about problems because when we talk about it, it might affect other, or we just don't express ourselves directly. There are ways to communicate our needs without making the other person defensive. Right? So in our family, we should seek the ways that can resolve our own personal internal issues. Right? There's a lot more here, but we will maybe go on and on and on and on. Right? I would maybe say in conclusion, let me just get to our conclusion. Oops. Conclusion. It says what? God what? Created in his the differences we see in society are a reflection of God in us. All baptized into one body, whether we be Jew or Greek, whether we are slave or free, and have all been made to drink of 1 Corinthians 12 and verse 13. So God has made us differently, but he has all made us for the same purpose. So let us strive to keep our families together. Let us help our children and to pass on the correct information to them.
Okay, we want to thank Elder Joseph for leading out today and for the discussion that we've had in, getting some pointers of how we can maintain certain things in our family. So to bring our time to a close, inviting you to stand as we do song number 652, Love at Home, 652. There is beauty all around when there's love at home. There is beauty all around when there's love at home. There is joy in every sound when there's love at home. Peace and plenty here abide, smiling fair on every side. Time doth softly, swiftly glide when there's love at home. Love at home. Love at home. Time doth softly, sweetly glide when there's love at home. Kindly heaven
smiles above. When there's love at home, all the earth is filled with love. When there's love at home, sweeter sings the brooklet by, brighter beams the azure sky. Oh, there's one who smiles on high. When there's love at home, love at home, love at home, tender, softly, swiftly glide. When there's love at home, Jesus, make me wholly thine. Then there's love at home. May thy sacrifice be mine. Then there's love at home. Safely from all harm and rest, with no sinful care distress, through thy tender mercy bless. When there's love at home, love at home, love at home, time does softly, swiftly glide. When there's love at home.
Okay, what I'd like you to do is, pick somebody next to you and pray for their families. Pick somebody next to you. If it's your wife or your husband that's next to you, you pray for your family. If there's a different family next to you, you pray for each other's family. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Today, O God, we bless your name for being our God. We pray that you will bless our families and continue to minister to us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
The Lord's our rock, in him we hide, a shelter in the time of storm. Secure whatever may betide, a shelter in the time of storm. The mighty, mighty rock in the weary land, who will shade on the burning sand. Faithful God, for the pilgrim's band, a shelter in the time of storm. A shade by day, defense by night, a shelter in the time of storm. No fears alarm, no foes affright, a shelter in the time of storm. Mighty, mighty rock in the weary land, cooling shade on the burning sand. Faithful God, for the pilgrim's band, a shelter in the time of storm. O rock divine, O refuge there, a shelter in the time of storm. Be thou our help forever, yeah, a shelter in the time of storm. Mighty rock, mighty rock in the weary land, who will shade on the burning sand. Faithful God, for the pilgrim's band, a shelter in the time of storm. Mighty rock in the weary land, cool and shade on the burning sand.